Hello. In this video we're going to look at pivot tables and melt. I already have imported here two CSV files and I already typed the import pandas as PD and df equals read video 11 battle log and wide equals PD read CSV video 11 wide. So let's look at the first one. So let's look at, this is our battle log. It's 34 rows in what we can call long format. Every row is one observation, one pirate, one location, one stat, wins or losses. So Luffy, Straw Hat, Orangetown wins, Orangetown losses. Luffy, Arlong Park wins, losses. And Zoro, Orangetown wins, losses, etc. It's clean and easy to filter, but sometimes we need a table that's more easy to read as a summary. Let's look at that example. So let's look at the second one. So this is the same information. But now it's only one row per pirate and each location is one column. So this is much easier to read. So we're gonna do examples of doing this, from this to this one and this one, from this one to that one. Okay, so let's go like this. Let's go back to this one, the long one. And let's say we want to know how many wins did each pirate get at each location, for example. So this is where group by, we could with a group by. We already see this in another video. So df of wins group by and then name all right. Store attribute has no, so I made a mistake. From the filtered df with only df equals wins, we grouped by name and location and summed the value. And here we go. So group by is what we saw last video, right? And this is what we get. So we group by name and then location and we sum the value of the wins. So we get each pirate and location and wins. Luffy group location wins. So Luffy Arlong, Luffy Barati, Luffy her, and Nami each one. So we get the answer, but we get this kind of long table, right? So how do we rearrange so we see, like the example we we brought in where Luffy is a row, and then each one of these is a column, so we see it more easily. So this is where a pivot table comes in. So let's do the same. Let's get the same info with a pivot table, and this is the syntax. So first we filter our data frame where on the column stat we get wins, comma, values. I will explain in a moment. Index equals name. Func. All right. So let's look at this. We have the same data, but a completely different shape, more readable. We have the pirates. Each pirate is one row. Locations are each column, and values are what fills in the table. Now we can easily compare, right? So let's break down the arguments. So this is the data frame we're working on. It's a filter data frame only where the stat was wins. Values is the column whose numbers fill the table. Index is the column that becomes our rows, our row labels. Columns is what gets spread across column headers. Aggregate function is how are we going to combine the values. Sum, we could use sum, mean, count, etc., just like in the group by. And field value equals 0 is what to put where there is no data instead of n, instead of none, like Boggy in Arlong Park or Barty, for example. So it's very clear the relationship between this pivot table and the group by. It's exactly the same data, but we get each one of these is a row. This is each column, and this is the data. So it's the same info, but just like this reshaped table. Let's do another example. So now let's answer what are the total wins and losses per pirate, for example. So let me copy paste this so you don't see my slow typing. So we are not going to use a filter data frame. We're going to use the full one. Values is also still the value. Index still the name. Now on the columns equal location, we are going to use the column stat. Let's run this. And here we go. Because if we look at our data frame, we have a column stat whose individual values are only 2, wins or losses. The last time we used location and it has 3 of them, orange, Arlong, Barati. Now we have 2 of them. And we also need to sum what either wins or losses. So here we go. Okay. So now instead of per name, let's do it per crew. Let me type it here. What are the total wins per crew? And this is the difference between what we already did over here. But we still want the filter stat by wins and the value index, instead of being the name of each pirate, let's want it to be the crew column. And here we go. Straw Hats, Bogey Pirates, and Iron Pirates. So now we are going to do some adding row and column totals margins. So let me copy paste this. Let's run it. So this magical with margins, what does it mean? Margins equals true, adds a total column adding this way and the total row adding them this way. And of course, this displays this data frame, right? So if we want to save these results as a table, we would have to assign it, like summary equals this. Let's run this again. And now if we display summary, displays this data frame. And of course, we can send this to a CSV. So let's do that as an example. Summary.to CSV, and then just say summary.csv. And here we go, a CSV version of this table. All right, let's delete this and delete this summary. Delete file. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Who had summary? We can do things to the summary, like as along park. Key error, along. And we get only the Arlong Park series. Sort values sending equal false. Here we go. Okay, so this was more or less the pivot tables. Now let's go the other way around. Let's go on the other direction, from wide like this from here. Let's go from here to the first one. From here, from the summary to the long one, and that is the other thing we can look at, the melt. So, for example, if we only have the width, we brought in from a CSV, we only have this one, and we want to stretch it for doing our own analysis. So let's just do it. Let's just jump right into an example. The syntax is like this: melted equals melt, and then the name of the data frame name value bars. Let me just copy paste so I don't get a syntax error like I do all the time. Okay, let's run this. Here we go. So 15 rows, it's five pirates times 3 locations. So it reshaped it into a long format, right? So let's break down the arguments. ID bars is the columns that stay as they are. Name and crew are identifiers. Value bars are the columns we want to collapse into rows. So these 3 columns, we want to collapse them, like I said, into the rows. Bar name is what to call the new column that holds the old column name. So var name is what we are going to call this new column. And value name is what to call the new column that holds the values. Let's just do a little cleanup. Melted location. Yeah, these are melted location. So let's do this. Melted location. Let's reassign, do parentheses so we can chain multiple. Chain multiple stir on a single. Chain multiple stir methods, one on each row. So let's ditch the wins. Let's replace wins with nothing. And then stir dot replace with a space, and let's uppercase the beginning of each word. And here we go, nicer to look at, right? So when we have the data like this, it's easy to look at for this type of summary. Which pirate wins in each park or place or each location. But then we cannot answer some other questions, and this is why the long version is nice, because now we can, the long format lets us do easy group bys that we cannot do on the other table. For example, all the examples we did in the group by. So this is a sum of each pirate across all of the locations, a sum this way. And melted dot group by location. All sorts of things like this one, like the percentage, the average number of wins per location across all pirates. So this is why this melt matters, because once data is in a long format, all of Pandas tools work on it naturally. So let's look back. Just a little summary. So we went from pivot tables. Pivot tables is from going from a long table to a wide table. And with these wide tables are good for reading at a glance or reporting or doing a little summary, right? But then what if the data comes like a summary or comes in wide? Then we changed to a long format using melt. And we went to the long format, and the long format, this is because it's best for filtering, and all the group by and aggregations we saw work very well on the long format. So there we go. That will be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.